little daughter was observing every night when he will be beating me.
Domestic violence is violence, and violence is a crime.
It's not a stigma. It's not okay for someone to abuse someone.
I will kill you and nothing will happen. Is he your son? Who will come? Anybody from your family, before they get here, I'm done. That was when he blew me so that I can go out of his way. He blew me here. This is near my eyes here. He started hitting me. My lungs, my back here. I said that is why this medicine was given to me. I went there. That's when they discovered. Discovered that my bone by this eye was showing. Because I thought maybe let them just dress it, let me go back to the station. Then I said, it's not like that, madam. They will inject you so that you will not pain you. We have to sew it. I said, I disagreed. They now brought mirror and show me. I went for eye clinic. Eye clinic, after all said and done, said, madam, you will start using glasses. The eyes have fault. Nobody has been giving me support. Don't you understand me? Nobody except God Almighty. I get support from God. You understand? And I've decided what to do. Even if it reach 20 years, once I have my evidence, I move. But now that I don't have money, I've exhausted, what is important to me is my glasses. My business is no longer moving. I don't have people to supply me. They want me to pay money and carry. You know how things are difficult. I don't blame anybody. You understand? And I don't have capital. You understand? So these are the things. So by the time I am not using my glasses, it will affect me badly because work might come. I may not see it. As I'm talking, I will be doing, listen, except this one. I will pick this one, screenshot, zoom, and if it is my email, I will zoom. So I need my glasses. And I have contacted the woman for my glasses. She didn't want to.
I saw the sign. I remember when he celebrated his birthday, so he got back home very drunk. I now queried him, why are you drunk? Why did you do this? And the next thing I had was pam, boom, on my face. He hit me, and I was like, why? Later, I had to leave the house. The following day, he came begging, and we made up and we continued. In 2015, so I had to go and look for work because most of the times, if we have misunderstanding, he will starve me. he will not give me food. I wouldn't eat for like 2 days. I had to go and beg neighbors, or I had to call my siblings to send me money before I could eat. So I became saturated with that experience. And I told him that I want to work. He said no. And now he insisted that I want to work. And I said, okay, I'm going. I'm on my own. I started work. So one of the days he came, he asked me, I don't know what came over him. He now said I shouldn't do work. And I told him that look, still I have to work. And whatever it is, I must work because you don't give me money. When I need money, you don't give me. What if I have an emergency? So I started working. He now said he's talking, I'm talking, all that. So he raised his hand as usual and started beating me. And that was the first time after 8 years of being abused. I raised my hand to him. I started fighting him. At that point, I made up my mind that whatever it is, I was going back to my parents.
The family, we all know, is the fulcrum of society. It's the unit of society. So, what role does the family play? First of all, in raising that child, in raising the girl child to become a confident woman that can speak up. The girl should be given confidence. She should have a voice. She should be heard. She should be made to believe in herself and to stand up for herself. And then when a girl complains, when a woman complains about violence, be it domestic violence, in the workplace, in her marriage, the family should look into it. The family should find out what happened. And then don't look at it from the place of bringing shame, because that's what makes most families want to keep it undercover. Don't say this out. It's not good to come from a broken home. Just stay in your marriage and maintain the peace. But the truth of the matter is that she needs a life. So when she has complained, give her all the love and support and look into what the situation is. Should she continue working there? Should she continue staying in that marriage? She should have that love and confidence from home to know that it's okay not to be abused. It's okay to speak up. And it's not a stigma to leave a situation where you are being abused, be it marriage or workplace or a relationship. The woman should not be abused.
I was very fortunate. I had family to run to, but I didn't run initially because I was afraid of what would become of my status. What will people say? You're a single mom, you left your marriage, blah, 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 blah. A lot of stereotypes, a lot of discrimination against single mothers in our society. And that was one of the things that kept me in that abusive relationship.
The family should own up. The family should know it's okay for a daughter to be home when she's being abused. She shouldn't stay in the marriage and maybe die, and then everybody starts regretting. Another thing the family usually does is say, because of the children. The children should not also be seen, should not also be raised to see their mother being abused or accept abuse. It also affects the mental health of the children.
I wasn't talking, but I didn't know my little daughter was observing every night when he'll be beating me. So one day we traveled home to visit my parents. So the little girl now told my mom that, grandmom, that every night my daddy beats my mom. So my mom called me and said, what's happening? I said, nothing, everything it is well that we're all good. She now said, no, that your daughter just told me something. And now say, mommy, children can talk. She now say, no, that if you like, keep quiet till this man kill you, don't open up. And now say, I couldn't scold my daughter because I know the little girl was saying the truth, and I was pained that she observed what was happening.
When a man abuses a woman in front of a child and gets away with it, the boy watching it feels it's okay for a woman to be abused. The girl watching it feels it's okay for a woman to be abused. Some women never come out to say they are going through stuff, be it emotional or physical abuse, which most time results in violence. And then she keeps it to herself because she doesn't want to be seen as the one who would bring the stigma home. It's not a stigma. It's not okay for someone to abuse someone. It's not okay for someone to be violent towards someone. So the family should also raise their boys not to be violent, raise their boys to respect women, and to have that self-respect to handle conflicts differently and not resort to violence.
Ignorance, poor implementation, and lack of enforcement are basically the reasons why a victim of domestic violence will be turned back by a law enforcement agent or agencies.
Being opportune to go to police stations to do one or two reports. And the way they talk to women at the police station, waiting be that your husband
Hi there, welcome, 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 welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. What you just watched is a short video of two women from across Nigeria that we interviewed. That video is about violence, that women experience here within our country, and it's a phenomenon that is actually known across the world, for that, and it's very sad. It's a really sad thing to hear about because these are our mothers, these are our sisters, these are our children, and we do not condone such because we know that these are parts of us. They are definitely family members, they are neighbors, they are our teachers. We know we see them, we meet these women every day. And if such a thing could actually happen to us, as individuals, we certainly know that we wouldn't want the same to happen to someone else because it is absolutely sad to hear about. And as Jesus said, you do unto others what you want them to do unto you, and we wouldn't want that happening to ourselves. And so we shouldn't also support that, when it happens to people, whether we know them directly or we don't, because it actually sort of has a ripple effect on families and on society as a whole. So that is their testimonies, and that's just a quick interview from them. And we're having some issues with video, so we'd just like to quickly have the technical team pay attention to it while we so please let me know feedback if the audio is coming in. Let me know if the audio is coming in so that we are sure that technical team has actually fixed the issue. Let me know through the comments, please. I am actually going through the comments. So the only way we can proceed very quickly is if you give me feedback. Is the audio good now? And the video? Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that feedback. Okay, great. So we can continue. So as I was saying, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to be back with us for the June edition of the Shield Africa Mini Learning Series. We promised you value last time, and we're glad that you came back. We have a lot planned for you today, and although there is a want for time, we will do the best we can to keep it within the hour. So the speaker, whom you all know, right? You all know who she is. She is a very key and notable figure globally when it comes to issues that have to do with gender disparity and everything that has to do with gender equality and you know, the misrepresentation we have of women in leadership roles and all of that stuff. So she will be coming up very shortly. But before then, thank you once more for being here. For those of you who are joining for the very first time, maybe you missed the last edition, someone sent you the link, you decided to join. I'll quickly introduce who we are. We are Shield Africa Sustainability Development Initiative. We're a non-profit organization, and we seek to basically provide solutions to Africa's problem with a global perspective. And the way we do this is by paying attention to the United Nations SDG goals, number 1, number 2, number 4, 5, and 13. Thank you. Keep your comments coming in. Right, so that is practically it. And just to you know, to throw a little bit more light, so this basically involves things like, you know, alleviating poverty here in Africa. Okay, thank you. So we want to occasionally change and, you know, keep poverty, you know, from actually ravaging the lives of, you know, our populace here in Africa. We also work to prevent hunger, to promote quality education, and of course, the topic we're dealing with today, we work to promote gender equality here in Africa, and lastly, every other thing that is occasioned by climate change. So these are the things we actually, these are the SDG goals that we work on here at Shield Africa. So now you know a bit about us. You can always check out our website, www.shieldafrica, you know, and visit us on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and X at Shield Africa SDI. My name once more is Igomu Emmanuel. And the next person you'll be hearing in just a few seconds will be our guest, Madam Ene Obi. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome her with a digital round of applause. Let me see that coming in this comment section. Appreciate our guest. Appreciate our guest. She has done a whole lot in the global scene, starting here within Nigeria. She has done so much. You know, the last time I read, you know, she the critical role she actually played in the Rwandan politics and the democracy that they actually enjoy. And her work has been extensive. So I'll quickly project for you, you know, before she begins speaking, you know, her bio, her profile, so that you can interact with her a little bit more and her experience before she comes up to begin speaking with us. So let me quickly read through this for you all so that I don't mince words. Keep the comments coming in, ladies and gentlemen, and I appreciate that, I guess. So, Madam Ene Obi is a Benue-born activist with a burning passion to see justice served in every tier of human existence. She has been a human rights activist and gender advocate spanning her career. Yeah, okay. So yes, she was among the activists that called for an extraordinary meeting for the African Commission on Human and People's Rights in Kampala, the success of which was heavily contributed to the actualization of democracy there today. She's the first female president of the University of Just Students Union. Madam Ene Obi served as Action Aid Nigeria's country director within the period of 2018 to 2023, during which she sought to and continues to challenge the dynamics of power in Nigeria and Africa as a continent. Thinking about women representation, she has embarked on several causes to increase women's participation in leadership and governance, and to that end, to end violence against women and girls. Ladies and gentlemen, the floor goes to Madam Ene Obi as she speaks to us from her wealth of experience on the topic, which we have actually titled Gender Roles and Stereotypes, the Underrepresentation of Women in Leadership Roles. Madam Ene Obi, please can have our screens. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here this afternoon with all of you. And thank you for ensuring that I attend this. It's always a pleasure, to share with colleagues, to also look at one way to go. It was very interesting. I was watching your video, the videos that you shared about violence against women and what women are going through in Nigeria. I think that's where I want to start from before I just go to the topic. From the lessons that has been shared, you see so many people are going through. The young lady that gave her testimony, two ladies gave their testimonies about gender-based violence. If you look at all of that, the case of Osinachi is still very, very much in vivid in our memories. And I want to tell you that even as we are here today, I'm trying to handle a case. There's a girl that is in the morgue. She's 32 years old. I will just put her name as Tayo. The husband has been beating her. 2 weeks before the incident, the husband used a uranium wire or something like that on her. This culture of silence, just like what the girl mentioned, not wanting to report or whatever she's going through, she's not reporting. It became a very suspicious thing when on Saturday, between 17th and 18th of May, this last week, last 2 weeks that we are coming out of, the sister suspected something when she was calling the older sister and she didn't respond. They called her throughout the night, called the husband, nobody responded. And what happened? The guy had really beaten this girl to stupor. The sister kept on calling until the early hours of the morning and decided to tell somebody to go and check. They tried to check only to say, okay, sister, are you coming too? And she eventually, anyway, she got the neighbors to go and look. The neighbors knocked on the door of their home, and the husband refused to open the door. Everybody tried to interject. He refused to open the door. So the sister got the police, and they broke down the door. Alas, it was too late. 32-year-old Tayo. I'm giving the name, not giving her real name. Tayo was murdered in cold blood. And the husband ensured that she died. So, and the pastors were at the door. He refused to open the door. This is a case we are handling right now. And I can tell you that because this is a young girl, the mother I had the opportunity to work with in 2008. So that was the time that this young 32-year-old would run into my arms. And I still remember that very well. So these things are not far away. There are so many of our family members that are going through this. And we are talking about the issue of the stereotype because you must remain with the family. You must stay with the family. You must maintain the family name and all of that. Now this girl is in the morgue as I speak. The husband was arrested. Once the police broke the door, the husband was arrested. The family is now begging, please, because of God. The mother was a single mother and labored to raise her child. I'll put that in the pack. At one time, I took up an assignment. I took up a job in Tanzania. 2 weeks before I started that work, a colleague of mine lost her daughter, her beautiful daughter. The daughter had been beaten seriously several times. The daughter came home reporting to the mother and the father. And the parents said, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma.
Okay, I thought I was muted.
Yes, ma, carry on. We can actually hear you.
Okay, thank you. So the fact that, you know, the girl reported, she came home, they said no. The mother specifically told her that you are married. So that is a home God has assigned you to live. So what is the role of religion? What is the role of relatives? What is the role of parents, brothers and sisters, family members? What is your role? And so the girl remained in the marriage. If they just go out and the guy sees someone smiling at her, if she goes home that day, she will be bloody. Her face will be bloody. Of course, the guy resigned and said, God, since you said I should stay in this marriage, I'm going to stay here and die. She decided to refuse eating. By the time the parents realized, it was too late. Of course, the girl died. Who lost in the end? The family. The man is happily married today with the 3 children. The Tayo that I gave you an example now has a 3-year-old child. The child that you couldn't leave is now with the mother. And so I guess that's how, you know, I just want to take it from the perspective of the work that you have done so far and some of the areas that you are in, so that we can all come together about this, is it a so-called gender, you know, stereotyping. So I'm going to look at the topic, which is gender roles and stereotyping on the representation of women in leadership. I'm going to, you know, look at it briefly and then we engage. I'm going to look at gender roles, you know, the introduction to gender roles and stereotyping, a lot of which you know, so I'll be just pulling through, you know, and then you have issues that is confronted. What are the issues about gender roles? And then we look at the historical context itself. We'll look at some examples of traditional gender roles in different countries. We'll also look at the stereotypes about women, the common stereotypes that is being practiced, the impact of these stereotypes on perception and behavior, and then the stereotypes in the workplace. What is the dynamics there? And then the effects of hiring and promotion and the workplace dynamics. I want us to also look at sector data and then the barrier to leadership. What is the impact of underrepresentation in the country? Then we look at strategies for promoting gender. We want to look at the role of education and training, and also look at the role of men in promoting gender. And so the introduction, I will say, as is known by you, gender roles are roles that are constructed. Is a social and behavioral norms considered appropriate for individuals of a specific gender within a cultural context. Some of the examples is that men are breadwinners, women are caregivers. That's the gender stereotype. But all of you, as we start this talk, I want you to reason with me. What do you see the next woman? All of you have gone through schools, right from your pre-primary education, down to primary education, down to secondary school, and then to the universities, and so on and so forth, and the different courses that you have gone through. Were there women in that environment? I want you to, we're talking of gender here, and most of the time, you look at a balance. In terms of representation within your own environment, what is a balance if you have to put it on a scale? When you were in school, was there a time that the girls are taught differently and boys are taught different, lectures? Like when it's time for mathematics, you say, girls, go to this class or go this way. When it's geography, do you take them to another side? When it is sciences, do you take them to another side? Those of you who are doctors, do you take the female doctors to another side and teach them, or were you in the same class? And so what is it? Is it two brains, or what are we talking about? And so the social behavior, we said specific gender within a cultural context. And we're saying the example is as men as breadwinners. In the case that we are today, many of you who are young men, would you marry a lady who is not working? For you who are young women, would you marry a guy who is not working? What is the implication? But women are seen as caregivers. So what's the double role? So that's gender roles is a role that is being constructed. And whatever is constructed can be deconstructed. It's like a building. If you can build, another person that comes will look at it and say, I don't like this building anymore. They will demolish and start constructing from the beginning. What that means is that when things are constructed, it can be deconstructed and reconstructed. So gender stereotype is overgeneralized beliefs about the characteristics and behavior of men and women or boys and girls. So it's within a context as well. So you just generalize. Why do boys go to play football and then girls remain in the kitchen? Is it that girls don't have the capacity to play football? Now we have female football. Is it that boys don't have the capacity to be able to cook? Because it's about building their capacity to be able to do anything. Some of you, in some homes, we have only guys. And I remember my neighbor who had 6 boys. Everybody, if you see the boys, if they are preparing amala, you will see something because he said, I don't have any girl who is a cook. But I can tell you that at the end of the day, when it is time for youth service and those boys go for youth service, you will be looking at competent persons. So on the issues about gender roles and stereotypes, we need to look at the impact on the society, the influence on career choices and opportunities. What is the effect on personal and professional relationships? If you're an engineer, you're an engineer. Contribution to gender inequality. What is the impact, this stereotyping, what is it contributing to? It contributes to gender inequality because you are looking at women, who has the capacity to do what? Are you going to say, what are you really going to, how does it impact the society? The importance of addressing the, underrepresentation in leadership in terms of stereotyping. You need to enhance diversity and also innovation in leadership and promoting equality and fairness, encouraging a more inclusive and balanced society. What is the historical context? The ancient societies, they look at the roles often detected by survival needs. Men as hunters, women as gatherers, and caregivers. Do you have men hunters in the urban areas? And so what is the role? Because the society is dynamic. How does it change? Before, the ordinary African sees women as being at home and being provided for and doing their other responsibilities. But what is happening today? A man can have a job today, tomorrow he doesn't have a job anymore. So if both of them are educated, and that's where the question of empowerment comes in. If both of them are educated, what is the role? How do you share the role in your own environment? Or you as guys, do you still go and cross your leg when you go to work, your wife go to work, and you will have children to take care of? So the ancient societies had its own peculiarities. The Middle Ages, for example, gender roles were reinforced by religious and feudal systems. The men are as knights, women are as homemakers. So men can go out and do certain things, but women, and I can tell you that the religion that we have in Nigeria, both Christian and Christianity and Muslim religion subjugate women because it depends on who is interpreting how women are supposed to behave. If you look at the Muslim religion, it gives women more rights than you can ever think of, but nobody is observing those rights. For the Christian religion, they will only preach a part for you and say women are supposed to be submissive, but they will not preach the other side that says you need to submit, that Christ, as a man, you need to love the woman as Christ loved the church. What a powerful command. Is that what they are doing? So we go to the historical context again, you look at Industrial Revolution. During the Industrial Revolution, it shifted roles with men in factories and also women in domestic roles, although some women began working in the factories. After the Industrial Revolution, in those days, those things were now coming up. In the 20th century, women's suffrage, women have suffered in every country, in everywhere that you go. The adult suffrage, when you are talking of even the United States of America that has had over decades of, independence and so on, the voting in terms of suffrage, women having the right to vote, it only took, it's in recent times. So, the feminist movement then started challenging the roles. And that's why today you have International Women's Day, you have celebrations, you have the United Nations after the World War II, so many things they started recognizing the roles of women and adding, voices to it, leading to gradual changes and also societal expectations. I want to cite examples of some of the traditional roles in different cultures. You will see in the Western world that they look at men as providers, and so women as homemakers. This began to also shift during the 20th century. In the Asian culture, is the Confucian principles emphasize male dominance in public and family spheres, where it is often expected that women are obedient and they are involved in domestic chores. And they are domesticated. I won't say like animals, but they are domesticated. They ought to stay in homes. The Middle East culture, the traditional roles often influenced by religious texts. Men as protectors and providers, women as nurturers and homemakers. This has religious context as well. In the African culture, there are diverse roles depending on the religion. In many cases, you have men involved in external trade and also warfare, women in farming and household management. If you look at Nigeria today, you see women in terms of cash crop, in terms of farming, in the rural areas and so on. You have small scale holder women farmers all over. And then you look at the indigenous culture, it varies from where you go, but often you have women play only complementary roles. Men as the hunters or warriors, women as gatherers. But even in our own culture, in Nigeria, you find out that there are some women warriors, depending on the zone that you go to. And so the stereotypes about women, the common stereotypes that you have is women as caregivers. This caregiving, is it recorded? Since we're talking of the Sustainable Development Goals, is it recorded? We're talking of, so many of the Sustainable Development Goals are inachievable because and unless you pay attention to the issues of gender equality. Gender equality does not mean the same treatment. Women as caregivers, an example is an assumption that women are naturally nurturing and suited for caregiving roles. And that is very true because one of my colleagues was giving testimony and he says, my father walked out on us. My mother had 4 children. My father walked out on us and went and married another woman and never turned back. He never turned back one day. But today, all of them are graduates. So indeed, to a certain extent, you can say, yes, women are the natural role. Hardly can a woman walk out of her children. Some do, depending on the role, depending whether they have the capacity to even manage the children. And so the question of empowerment and where she is at the time that a man walks out of her life is very, 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 is an environment that is debatable. An example is women being expected to take on primary child care and elder care responsibilities. When it is time for caring, it is women that do it. So what is happening? Is it that men cannot do it? In a few, if you want to look at, data, in a few cases, you have men, of course, but in majority of the cases, women are left to care for the elderly as well as children. The common stereotype again is that women are less assertive. There is an assumption that women are less likely to be assertive or take leadership roles. And, that we can look at that in terms of when I became the Students' Union president, I was the first in the University of Jos. There had been somebody there's been Najat Mohammed in ABU in 1981 before I came on board. But that's in 81. And then 84, you have Bimbo in Ile-Ife before I came on board. So there's a likelihood that when I wanted to go into the role, many of my friends said they were going to kick against me. They were going to campaign against me. One of the things they also said is it not that thing? The police will arrest you. You are going to suffer detention. Can you face them and all of those things? So they tried everything to make sure that I don't go anywhere. I was not looking at them. I meant because I did not go for the role because because I was a woman. I went for the role because I feel I am human. There are decisions to be made. There are things to be provided for students. There was leadership to be given, and I felt I qualified. So I picked up the form, and eventually I won the election. But my friends who wanted to kick against me, when they saw the audacity and the courage, they turned back and started campaigning for me at the end of the day. So women have the capacity. You don't push people to those roles, but women have the capacity. If they qualify, they should be able to occupy those positions. An example is that women often are being overlooked for promotions or leadership positions in favor of male. I'm sure that some of you who are women may have seen some of those things as well. Another assumption in terms of the stereotype is women as emotional than rational, that they are too emotional. They can't be rational. Women are less capable in terms of making rational decisions. And then an example of that is that women being dismissed or undervalued in professional settings, particularly in roles that require critical decision making. Why can't a woman take decision? The smallest unit of government is the family. Women are able to take decisions about what their children are doing, about raising their children, contributing to the family. But when it's a bigger society which will accommodate her child, you say she's irrational. She's not a rational being. Anyway, we'll look at what are the impacts of these stereotypes, the issue of professional opportunities, limited career advancement and leadership roles for women, underestimation of women's capacity or the capabilities in professional and academic settings. In the struggle for Nigerian democracy, in the struggle for Nigerian independence, the likes of Funmilayo Ransome Kuti, Margaret Ekpo, Gambo Sawaba, these women had only standard 6 level education, but they went to London, joined the men to contest for Nigerian independence. And so but today, and so I think we're making progress as well. Much as the representation is not balanced, but we're making progress. Because today, can you look at any profession that you don't have a woman? Even the army, when I finished from secondary school, I was in the man of war. And so I wanted to go to the NDA, but I was not allowed to go to the NDA. All my colleagues, the male colleagues that went to, that were in man of war training with me, by Citizens and Leadership Training Center, all of them automatically went to NDA, but I was not allowed to go because I was a woman. They had not started admitting women. It really hurt me. And that is when the gender stereotyping really hit me like a blow. But today, women are in the NDA. And I had a meeting with the commandant of NDA, and he was talking about, because I wanted to have an update on what they're doing. And he told me, he said, there was a time, if they want to do jumping, they will limit the women. But that he realized that these women were really excelling, that he removed the barrier. Both male and female, the same thing. He said women, many of them were beating the men, meaning that the capacity is there. But I will tell you later about, when we're looking at behavior and the perception, what is this behavior that we're talking about? It's important to also know that we are not the same. Men and women are not the same. And I'll come back to that. So in terms of personal relationship, imbalanced expectations in the household responsibilities and caregiving roles, the strain on personal relationship due to greed, gender expectations, there's a guy who was in Planned Parenthood Federation and took me to go and give a lecture on women's empowerment, women's political empowerment. And and to talk about gender. This was many, more than 20 years ago. After I finished, he said, Ene, I thought you were going to talk to the women that I gathered, but you actually spoke to me. I am a mother of 3 boys. All I do, my wife does everything. My wife prepares the food and everything. She bathes the children. She cooks the food and everything. I can't believe that I was undermining the home. And then so he went home that day and gave me a report the following day. He said, I went home. My wife was in the kitchen. I showed up in the kitchen. He said, no. What are you doing in the kitchen? He said, I am here to stay. And what are you doing? Can I help you? He said, no, just go. I'll come, I will soon, attend to you. He said, I'm not going anywhere. Can I cut tomatoes for you? The one I cannot do, show me. Because at the end of the day, a male and female who is working, you don't have conversations with each other. By the time you leave each other like that, you only have a conversation at the end of the day when you are all both tired and going to bed. And the woman will have to perform the conjugal role again after she is overwhelmed. What he did, the following day, he started bathing his children. After all, they are boys. He bathed. When he went to bed, the children will say, Daddy, what are you doing? He said, I am bathing you. He had to, because the wife was so suspicious of what was happening, which many will do. If you as a man want to change that role, they were able to sit together. The man told her what happened. And from then on, the man he wasn't used to taking his children to school. He started taking his children to school. And so much, translated. They became very, very happy. And he said, you transformed my life. So there are personal roles, there are perceptions. I want to rush quickly to looking at women. The stereotype in the workplace is that women are less competitive in leadership roles. And the assumption is that women lack the skills and the traits for effective leadership. The example is that women often are being passed over in terms of executive positions. When it is time for a woman, they say, no, you cannot perform that role. They'll give it to another person. Women also prioritize family over, career because of their responsibilities. It's also an assumption now because women are more likely to put family responsibilities ahead of work commitments. When you say family responsibilities, we are talking of human responsibilities. When women have children, the children are both male and female. And so what are you telling, what are you going to say when you are talking about the responsibilities? What are you saying if a woman has boy and girl or boys and girls as children? She's presiding over humans. And that's why we say women's rights are human rights. The lady who is killed now, I don't know what is going to happen to the son. The life of that boy is changed forever. The life of the human under that woman has been changed forever. I want to, so prioritization is another. Then let me go to effects on hiring and promotion, in the workplace. Biases, predominance for male candidates in industries as perceived by domination. Women are experiencing slower career progression, performance potential, undervalued, the issue of workplace dynamics. If you look at banks and so on and so forth, they will put a reality on ground and tell you that women, before they hire a woman, they will tell you cannot have children for and so many things. Let me just move to the issue of statistics or underrepresentation. As you all know, women hold about 29% of senior management roles in terms of the global, according to Grant Thornton in 2023, and then only 8% in terms of CEOs are women. In the Nigerian statistics, women occupy 25% of senior management positions, according to the World Economic Forum 2022. Women hold less than 6% of the seats in the National Assembly. I think for the House of Representatives, we have about 15 women, and in the Senate, that is 109, we have only 4 women. I mean, how do you discover? How do you even, when you have women committees, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? In 14 houses of assembly, there is not a single woman. And you have women committees. Who is presiding over that? So in the academia, women represent, 15% of professors and senior lecturers in different universities, according to National Universities Commission 2023. And so the data, percentage of women on corporate boards is 19%, according to McKinsey and Company 2022. In terms of political representation, 16%. In terms of ministerial, according to UN Women 2022. The percentage of women in senior academic role already pulled that down. What are the barriers? Let's look at that. What are the barriers, gender barriers faced by women? Because of time, the presentation can be made available. So the barriers, I think some of it you already know, but I just want to say something to bring out something that when I'm talking of gender, to say that we are not equal, I stream it down. Once women get to, or girls get to the age of 9, 10, or even 11, some of them get to 12, they start menstruation. Menstruation is 5 days of free flow of blood. That blood is human blood. And so in a year, a woman will have 60 days of free flow of blood. And in 10 years, that's 600 days. In 20 years, that's 1,200. In 30 years, you have 1,800. It is only when a woman is then pregnant, in most cases, that you will not see the blood. The blood of a woman is life. It's the stoppage of that blood. In fact, if you are looking for pregnancy, when it's time for you to see your period, you say, God, please don't bring that period. Please, I don't want to. And it will be so much celebration in the homes when you don't see your period. But I always joke that if you sleep with the wrong person and you don't see your period, that's when you know that that period is very important. It's for you to also imagine that young girls who are in school from the age of 12 or 11, where you have, at this time that we're talking, about 800, about 87.4 million Nigerians are in extreme poverty. How do the young girls that are seeing their menses, how are they handling it? Your guess is as good as mine. So men are not the same as women. If you don't have hospitals today, Nigerian women are dying in the maternity death road. On the maternity death road, there's no other. Nigeria is they are 2 last in the world, as if we're at war. So every woman that is pregnant in Nigeria is on the maternity death road. And so the issue of equality and representation, we need to look at that. We need to, so the same gender equality does not mean the same treatment. It is identifying the barriers to equality and being able to provide the opportunities. And so some of the strategies that we can look at is policies and practices to support women in leadership, equal opportunity, implementation and enforcing of laws, fair hiring, promotion and pay practices, parental leave and flexible work environment, providing comprehensive parental leave, importance of mentorship and support and sponsorship. There is intergenerational, movement that has been carried on now. And so there are so many things that has been done, creating a supportive work environment because they are on duty for humanity and not for only themselves. We need to be able to inclusive culture, fostering an organizational culture that values the diversity and inclusivity. It's not only just for women, but for also people with persons with disabilities. It's enough not to be represented as a woman, but more failure comes when you are a woman and you are also with disability. So there is a lot that is going on. What is the role of education in terms of gender awareness? One of the importance is gender sensitive training, understanding the biases, creating inclusive environment, programs to encourage leadership skills for women, leadership development and programs, and also networking opportunities. Women need to support each other. Because what we have seen is that even when there is a gender-based violence, that will falter. And I can tell you that I had the opportunity as a country director of ActionAid to have supported so many women's groups, and I know that the situation is no longer the same. Promoting STEM education for girls, encouraging interest, and also breaking those stereotypes and making examples. What is the role of men? Male advocacy, there's a lot that is going on now by women-led organizations, programs and initiatives. I know that the time is really, chasing us. Some of my conclusion, I'll just bring down to the conclusion, and when you ask questions, we'll be able to interact more. Some of the key points I like to summarize is that impact of gender roles and stereotypes. Gender roles and stereotypes have significant implication for individuals and society, influencing career choices, opportunities, and personal relationships. Importance of, you're looking at underrepresentation of women leadership. He who wears the shoes knows where it pinches. Both women and young people, they need to be represented. Persons with disability, they need to be represented. We need to support women's advancement in leadership. Together, let's work towards creating a future where gender equality is the norm and everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential. I don't think any son of mine will raise a hand against a woman. And if any of my daughters, if you are married and if you don't tell me, I'll get to know, because we are friends. Women need to be friends with their children. If you tell me once that the guy raised a hand, I'll be there. So let me, at this point, pause and say, if you ask questions, we'll take it from there. I want to thank you for listening and tolerating me. Thank you.
Wow. I'm still in shock about everything I've just heard, and I'm sure there's a lot of reactions to be had. Everyone, please, let's quickly appreciate our guest speaker, Madam Ene Obi, the global voice on matters of inclusion and gender equality. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate our guests. Thank you so much, Ma, for taking the time to be here. We greatly appreciate you for sharing your wealth of knowledge with all of us. So much I've actually heard, and I've jotted down some things here. No, she said something that actually really struck me. Gender roles are a societal construct, and that anything that is constructed can actually be deconstructed. So he also gave a historical perspective about, how we've seen gender roles, changing or switching depending on several points in time across history until the point where we are right now, where we have a lot of voices like hers speaking up very, very heavily about, inclusion for women in governance, leadership roles across all stratas in society. And it's really gone a lot. So much has been done. A lot of key players have been involved, and her voice is certainly one of those that have been very prominent, in Nigeria and even across Africa. Thank you so much, ma'am. Please, you can bring in your questions, so she can actually answer them. Let's quickly interact in the comments, send in your questions very quickly. Meanwhile, let me just quickly put something out there while the questions come in. This topic is one that can hardly be had, without speaking about mentorship as well. Because, say, for example, there are women like you who have actually broken, several of these barriers themselves, right? And, for women out there who are actually watching you and, listening and inspiring to be like you, who see you from afar, maybe on social media and whatnot, and you probably have no one to actually turn to. So I was just wondering, what role, to what extent do you think mentorship, has to play, in breaking such barriers or matters of inclusion and gender equality?
I think mentorship has a great role. It has a big role, in fact, and we're doing a lot of mentorship that has been going on. Even the UN Women and also different organizations have brought on, they did bring on board, you know, they did bring on board the issue of intergenerational mentorship. Some of us were lucky to go to Beijing as young women. And what they did was to bring all the Beijing, those who went to Beijing together, and they paired us with they gave us other mentees, and we're able to mentor them for about 6 months. And, Women Trust Fund has also done that. ActionAid, where I work, has done so much in terms of training. There's what we call Activista, which is a platform, a platform for training young people. And that has done exceedingly well. We were training about 500 or 1,000 a year in some of the states that we're working, bringing them together and training them as champions and peace advocates, that they can do certain things for themselves. So intergenerational is mentorship. And for us, anywhere I go, I mentor women, unless you are not on my path. Mentorship is a continuum. And if I'm in that organization, I watch out for young girls. How many of us are watching out? I think because of gender stereotyping, there is a lot of, some of the women are really hard because of what they have gone through. I can give an example of a lady who was working under me, and was really tight. She wouldn't open up. I had to go under strategy, because it's not to mentor. You also have to understand some people they are closed themselves, and I had to break them down. And I was able to break some of them down. Today, they can achieve anything that they want. And you find some people, they conceal what they think. You have to be deliberate, about mentorship. You have to look at them. I don't mentor only just women. I mentor both male and female. And I just, gender, yes, women, that's my constituency. But I'm directly on social justice. I struggle for social justice for every human that is on my path. And so it's very, very important, intergenerational. Can we mentor ourselves? The women who are listening to the sound of my voice, who have you mentored? Do we love each other enough? God has given us so much love. So do you exude love for others? Are they confident to come and talk to you? We need to develop the agency of women for them to support each other. Because I still remember the words of Margaret Ekpo. She was the last of them. She was the only one that I met among the three of them. And one of the things that she told us at the time we went to meet her in 1997, she said, in those days, we used to travel. I used to travel and go to Funmilayo Ransome Kuti. And then Gambo Sawaba will come and meet me. If there's any issue about women, we will travel all the way and go and meet and go there and fight for the women or the women. What are you doing for your sisters today? It challenges me every day. And if you can hear the sound of my voice, for any woman who is on call, what are you doing for your sisters? Do you think you are too special? Do you think you are more special? By the way, I believe in human rights-based approach. I believe that all humans are equal. And the equality, I have boys and girls. I'm a mother to boys and girls. Biologically and non-biologically, I'm a mother to so many children. And what that tells me, what that puts me, is that I'll protect the rights of my children, and I will ensure that they're okay. And there's a question that, how do you manage resistance when, leading men as a woman, especially in the workplace? I've been a country director. I've managed so many places. And for me, a man is a human being. A woman is a human being. And so when you resist, you need to get to know your staff. Who are the staff under you? What is their perception? You need to be able to break it down. I remember a guy, because one of the things that I do. Sorry? Okay, one of the things that I used to do is, I like to, because God has given me so much love. And if I consider you my friend, I will give you a hug. For the girls, that comes naturally. For the boys, some of the boys, I say, don't you hug your mother from home? Come here. And I remember one boy who, he would just be protective, maybe because of religion and all of that. Before you knew it, he would be the one to run and say, give me your healing hug. I don't think of any boots of my heart to your heart. We connect And that's what we leave behind, so much love. And so it's very important to look at, as a woman, you need to be aware of yourself. You assume love in the first place. That a woman doesn't become, some women become so tough because they said, because I'm a woman, they will take me for granted. Nobody took me for granted. I believe in the law. I have had love for, I remember one of my staff. Of course, I love everyone and all of that. But when I look at you, I don't look at you as different. At the end of the day, I look at you as a human being. So it's not going to be, I'm not going to give you special treatment. I'm not going to give the women special treatment. But one of the things that I said earlier is that when women are undergoing their menstruation, you won't believe what happens to them. Some of them, the kind of tummy ache. And who is a woman in your life? Your mother, your sister, your cousins, your nieces, your daughter, and a host of all the women around you. They go through all of that. Some women will be rolling on the floor. Are you sensitive enough to identify, to know that they are going through those things? Or you are just worried about delivery? They must deliver. Is that all that you ask about? Do you know what she's going through? So sisters must help each other. Somebody say, my question is, which area of which areas of the society do you think currently need the most attention to combat gender stereotyping? The issue of gender-based violence is major. The issue of gender-based violence is very, very major, and is something that we have to. COVID-19 really brought it out. COVID-19 threw it open because people now had to stay at home with each other. One guy told me, we were at the meeting at the Nigeria Labour Congress. A guy told me, saying, I have never stayed at home before. I don't know how my wife copes with it. Sometimes, even within the COVID-19, say, I'll run away from the house because I can't take what the children are doing. Is this what they have been doing to this woman? I say, welcome to our world. And so it's very, very important. Gender-based violence is increasing. It's not something that you can just walk away. It's increasing. And people are killing each other every day. What is the level of understanding? People need psychosocial treatment. People need more training, more training in terms of mentorship. The religious people need to, you are marrying people, you are joining people. Do you nurture them? Because it's very, very important to say that, it's only a lazy man that takes a hand to strike somebody. A child that they have given you, a princess, somebody's daughter that has been given to you to protect and to love. If she says something, you just twat on her. Who are you? You are an animal. Because this girl went from pre-primary, primary school, secondary school, university, she's out. You went with your parents to go and knock on the door. Give me your child. I will love her forever. And you forget her immediately, because when a girl is given out in marriage, she has been forgotten from her family. People don't link up with you. A lot of people do not link up with you. Your family members is those who are very close to you. If not, they say she's married and she's gone. And then you that took her to protect her. Men protect their daughters. What about the daughter of the princess of somebody who is in your house? Have you been able to treat her? And so, what advice do you have for young ones managing stereotypes and stigma in a highly patriarchal society? You can change through this capacity building now. This is what we're talking about. Through your hearing that your sister is special. You want your sister to be special, but you want to dirty another person's sister. The issue of dignity, very, very important. We are in a different world. About 10 years now, some girls were captured. Some of them are still in captivity up to today. Leah Shuaibu is still in captivity today. And so the issue of stigma, would you want to be in the shoe of the parents of Leah or those children? There are so many other children who have been captured. Many of them, when they took about 300 women to the bush, 300 young girls to the bush in Kaduna or somewhere there, when they took them out, by the time they came back, many of them were pregnant. Would you want to be a parent to any of those ones? So the life of a young girl is endangered. How do we go from there? How are we going to, so you can change, You know, for my sons, you will answer to me if you touch a girl in my place. I'm not even lucky enough to be called a mother-in-law. Somebody has given me a special child to nurture, and then you are striking her. I don't know how you will come about with that. Another question here is, how can a woman who is in politics overcome criticism from the family, friends, and close relatives because they tag that women? I think, you know, our political prostitutes, you know, women, let's not even talk about outside. Let's talk about here with us. What do you think of a woman? Who is a woman? Is she a human being? Are you thinking of a woman as a married woman? Are you thinking of a girl as a single girl? Are you thinking of a woman as somebody who is divorced? How do you qualify them? Change your thinking. Qualify her because she's a human being. A woman is a human being. Whether she's a single parent, whether she is divorced, you don't know her story. And so this is very, very important that we understand. If you want to be a change agent, let it start from you. How do you value another woman? Even with you as a woman, how do you value another woman? If you hear somebody is divorced, say, look at this divorcee. What are you talking about? She is a human being and she has the right to occupy any position that she wants. And so political prostitutes, we need to build the agency of women so that women can support one another. A lot of women are not supporting one another because of the stereotyping, because men will really curse you against each other. The presentation voting is done, almost 50% are women. They are not voting for the women because of patriarchal ways, but we need to turn the table. And the way to turn the table is to work together with other women. So your families, if you don't get support from your family members, can you support another woman? Building the network will help us in supporting one another. That you're a prostitute, then the other name for a woman is prostitution. You know, so it doesn't annoy me if you say you're a prostitute, I say, not me starter. Abi? You know, so a lot of things. A question from Paul Ame. How should women balance the tendency to pick family over work, leadership responsibilities? Is when you have food to eat that you can pick whether a woman stays at home or doesn't stay at home. Some men think they can do it all. One of my cousins, you know, provided everything for his family. Provided everything, he refused the wife working, you know, really turned out, you know, but one day, you know, even when the wife came out of secondary school, was not working, and then the guy actually provided everything, but one day he just hit his chest like this. He went down and left the world. The wife called me and said, see what your brother has done to me. Where do I start? So the question of empowerment of a woman is not because of her, it's because of the humans she needs to care for. If she had been educated and she has been ready, there will be multiple choices. It's about the issue of choices. It's no longer a luxury to be educated. When I was starting school, I almost didn't go to school. They said, let my brother go to school. My brother that I'll be beating, you know, 6/6, and then he will have 0/6 in mathematics. They say, let him go. They didn't give me priority. But today, who is contributing to the family?
Sorry for interrupting. There's a little bit of, there's this light glare that's so bright. I think it's coming right from your window. If you could tilt a little bit towards the left, so we can see you better.
Let me off my lights. There's a lot of sunshine. I'm somewhere where the sun shines till 10 o'clock. I don't know if
let's see. Okay, that's much better.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so then, you know, somebody say you talked about women empowerment, Benedicta. We cannot talk about equality and inclusion without talking about empowerment. I think I just spoke about empowerment. You know, empowerment is what I've done almost all my life, about women's empowerment, political empowerment, economic empowerment. And then we have to talk about global, you know, the climate change itself. The issue of climate change, I was not given that, but I heard the moderator talking about it, is something that we need to really look at, because the impoverishment, when they gave the status of those who are in extreme poverty today, when they gave the statistics, at that time, there wasn't anything like, it was 2022 February, the statistics that were 87.4% are below the poverty line. Under extreme, in extreme poverty, while about 133 million Nigerians are in multidimensional poverty. The issue of flooding, climate change has come to stay with us. That was before 31 states went under the water in a disaster in that very 2022. And so I don't know, we don't have the statistics today about how many people are below the poverty line or in extreme poverty and so on and so forth. The issue of opportunities are not there unless a woman is empowered. Women need to be empowered. You can't empower everybody, but you can empower some of them. There are some women that are poor and you give them money, they can't turn it around. Those who can turn it around, give it to them. There are some children, children that you can school. I have trained so many children in my life, so many orphans that I have raised. Some of them have graduated, they have done so many things. But I also know that some children, if you like, preach from now to tomorrow, they don't want to go to school, they don't want to go to school. Pay attention to the women that can be empowered. And the women who are empowered, try to empower more women. Look at your locality. Give back in time. Very, very important, because we are all the same at the end of the day. I always remind people that at the end of the day, in another 100 years, all of us are going to be skeleton. Who have you influenced to carry God's work forward? That's what they see in us. Opportunities for young people. Believe by so doing, where young people create impactful changes, desire wherever they are in the world. I think in terms of young people, there are so many organizations that are working in the area of young people. I'm the board chair for Africado Foundation. I'm also the board chair for Yes Foundation and another organization, 2 other organizations, and so on and so forth. We focus on young people, and there's a lot that can be done. The population of Nigeria, the demography, about 62% of Nigeria, they are young people. Population is a blessing, not a curse. Other people are looking for that population. That's the population where you can do industrialization. And if you have industries, you can just feed in. You don't have to look for people. We are churning out millions of children from the NYSC every year, and we have no plans for them. Nigeria is suffering from, in terms of development plan. They hardly have development plan. We are not planning for our youth, and that's unfortunate. Thank you. I think, does your organization have learning opportunities for such youth-based organizations? I think we have the organization I just left ActionAid, and they have a lot that they are doing. They even have a youth hub. They have what they call Activista, which young people can join. So please approach ActionAid. And then other organizations of your choice, you can Google them and you'll be able to find, a number of organizations that are doing some wonderful things. Some skills building, solutions are also going there. I don't know, moderator, if I have left any question. I think there was an earlier question. I'm not sure. Adolescent and young people, yes, I have done that. Somebody say, I heard you say you schooled in University of Jos. Please, do you stay there? If yes, I'd love to meet you in person. I've actually gone back to tidy up my PhD, so sometimes I stay there, but not exactly. You can consult with the host and they'll give you my number. I do a lot of meetings, so what you can do for me is send me a text and we can get in touch. It's a great pleasure to be here. So, host, is there something
Ladies
else?
Ladies and gentlemen, You have done so wonderfully well. What a wealth of experience right there that you have shared with us. And I really appreciate you taking the time to be here to teach us and to have us learn, from all of your years of experience working in the field and impacting lives, both women and men. So we see this conversation about gender roles. It's not just necessarily about women. She already mentioned it. Although women are her primary constituency, right? She still also works with men. Thank you so much for all that you do, ma'am. Really appreciate you. God bless you. All of the questions have been answered. And, she already mentioned, if, we also have to respect her time. She's a very busy individual. She has so much to do. And she just mentioned, she's starting up with her PhD. So we have to respect our time when we try to reach out. Let's keep the messages concise. Don't just send a hi or hello, right? When you reach out to her, state exactly what it is. Someone mentioned that they were looking, that they hoped that, that you could become their mentor. So when you reach out, just state exactly.
Sorry, somebody talked about referral pathways. There are so many ways. There are so many things that is going on, and that's what we're doing even right now with the mother of this young woman that I talked about. There are referral pathways. There are so many things that we can do, knowing that the time is limited, because I train on gender. I'm a human rights teacher as well. I on governance, you can ask me any question on governance or what have you, gender or women's issues. I can tackle. Is a whole training. Gender is a whole training. It's how many months of training if you want to conduct training on gender. So there are so many things that I'm unable to bring out to mention. There is a lot that we can do together. But I think I want to say congratulations to Shield Africa, for giving us the opportunity. Maybe I've touched one or two, minds, through this lecture, and I hope that you'll be able to touch others. You'll be able to seek for more knowledge. You can even do gender training online, all of those, and human rights training as well. Because to be in the NGO world, to be in a human rights preacher or a social justice preacher, I'm a preacher of social justice. To be that, you need to turn, because when you point a finger, many of it is coming back to you. And I need you to yourself be a change agent. You have to sanctify yourself with all of the things and walk the talk. I want to say thank you and congratulations again. Thank you.
Thank you once more, Ma. Thank you once more for being here, and thank you for all of your kind remarks and the learning. Someone just put in their comments, they actually joined late, but they said even with the little they listened to, that they really appreciate it because it has been greatly impactful to them. So thank you so much, Ma. Thank you. God bless you and strengthen you much more for all that you do for our girls and our women across the world. Ladies and gentlemen, we can reach out to Madam NLB. If you want to reach out to her, you could, just after this, after the meeting, reach out to us at Shield Africa SDI on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and X. You can also follow Madam NLB on Twitter at NA_OB. Reach out to her and give her a big thank you, appreciate her, and let her know what your concerns. She spoke about the referral program, so please do not forget to do that. Once again, my name is Igumu Emmanuel, and it has been my pleasure to moderate this particular edition of the Shield Africa mini learning series. So keep your fingers crossed and stay tuned on our social media as we keep you posted for further events and meetings. Ladies and gentlemen, once more, Madam NLB, let's give her a round of applause as she takes her leave. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you and have a nice day. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone. See you next time.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for tolerating me.
Bye. Thank you, Ma. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ma.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Your contact, please.
Thank you. Nice to see you all. Thank you, Prof.
Your contact, please. I need your contact.
Prof.
Yes.
Okay, they will give you my contacts.
Just reach out to us after this meeting, right? I just bring the meeting to a close right now. So please, reach out to us on social media and we'll definitely connect you with her.